more prisoners, and it's wonderful to have everybody here. There's a feedback form, and but as you know, the last 2 days, these amazing architects have come and fallen in love with Trinity as well, right? And have lots of ideas on what the future can look like for us. And I just ask you to just listen to each and every one of them and to be excited about the future and not starting to say, well, how are we going to make it? We're just going to get excited right now, all right? They have taken the process has lasted a couple of years. And so we had with our partners for Sacred Places who have done a great job leading us in this, from the community asset mapping where 40 different organizations came and spent their time helping us figure out what was needed in the community. And then we took that information and as a vestry, filtered it and came up with our own priorities. And then the Partners for Sacred Places reached out to different contacts that they had to get these 5 architectural firms here to help us dream about what's possible. And so thank you for coming here. Be sure to take notes so that you can fill out the feedback forms. We are recording it so that we can share it with those who couldn't be here today. And again, from the bottom of my heart, I am so thankful to the architects who have spent their time coming up with this plan. And I want to introduce Kevin Bob, Partners for Sacred Places.
Okay, thank you very much. So, I'm told to stand here, and to the design participants, I'm told to stand here for the camera. Speaking to the microphone. Okay, so I am Kevin Block. I am from Partners for Sacred Places. I'm the Director of Special Initiatives from the Philadelphia office. We're a national, nonprofit, non-sectarian organization, and we specialize in the active community use and sound stewardship of America's historic sacred places. Places exactly like Trinity, Midtown in Houston. It's a beautiful building, and it's been loved for a long time, and the goal really of this exercise is just to envision, as you were saying, Urban, what could be possible in the future. I'm here with some colleagues, Caroline Lauber, Caroline from our Chicago office, Dana DeBeck in the back there. I also want to thank, I said this yesterday, I want to thank all of the volunteers from Trinity who have supported us in planning for this day and for helping us in the community asset mapping. That was all the way fall 2024. So it's taken us a long, diligent way to get to this point. Okay, Partners for Sacred Places, I mentioned it a little bit, but we work at the intersection of faith, heritage, and community. And I just want to emphasize, I'm not going to take too long, but I want to emphasize that our mission is about opening the doors of sacred places to embrace everyone, to reach out into the community, and to revitalize every congregation, whether it's Christian, Jewish, everyone, we work with everyone. Because we think that these places, especially these places on main streets, that have been here a long time, are real centers, moral centers, social centers, centers that have positive impact on public health and wellness. They do so much, right? The feeding ministries, NA, AA, it's so much more than what just takes place over there, right? We don't talk about houses of worship. We talk about sacred places because it's more than worship. It also is worship. That's important too. Okay, what do we offer? This is an example of what we call a consulting project. We're working individually with Trinity. We also run programs. We do capital campaigns to raise money to realize some of these dreams. We also do training, capacity building, working with clergy people, lay leaders, seminarians even, to help them learn how to take care of old buildings and to steward them into the future. The last thing I'll add is that we run the National Fund for Sacred Places, which is the largest bricks and mortar grant program to every religion, every denomination, historic places all around the country, up to $500,000 in grants. So we're really proud of that program. We started with community asset mapping. We spoke a little bit about that. We brought in all of these community organizations. I see some of them in the audience here today to hear the feedback, and we're building on this feedback now, translating this verbal, the verbal feedback we got into spatial individual propositions so that we can actually envision what could change here and how Trinity can serve even more folks in the community. I'm going to jump ahead because I realize I started too early in the slide deck. What is a design charrette? How many of you have heard of the term charrette? Only a few. I know that, right? It's really an inside baseball architectural term. It's a workshop. It's a design sprint. The design participants, I want to say, they're all volunteers. So truly, they deserve a round of applause. And they only started yesterday morning. These are not finished drawings, these are not construction documents, nothing is set in stone. Nothing is set in stone. Right? So, if you have that immediate response, well, we can't do that because I asked you just bracket that for today. And then we can think down the road about all of those practical concerns. Here's our format. Okay, each team will introduce themselves. They'll present to the screen, explaining what they're proposing for 10 minutes, and then we'll do a little Q&A. So feel free to, we invite all questions, but the reason you have these pieces of paper on your chairs or underneath your chairs with the pen is because we really do want feedback from as many people in this room as possible, even if you don't ask a question. And what I also want to emphasize is the second bullet point under instructions. We really want to know, we want you to hear and tell us what excites you the most. What excites you? If something's proposed that's not for you, that's okay. Leave that to the side for now. Just think about what's exciting. And then when you're finished at the end of the event, you can hand it to me or any of the other facilitators. Okay, so we're going to start. We have three firms. They're going to introduce themselves. We have three firms from Houston, and then we have two groups actually from San Antonio. So they're special guests who traveled a long way. We're very thankful in the back, FPC and Coral, for making the trip. But we're going to start with Jackson and Ryan. Architects will then move after 15 minutes to Clark Condon. They're from Houston as well, the landscape firm. We'll then hear from both Coral Studio and Ford Powell and Carson Architects. Coral and FPC, those are our special guests from San Antonio. And we'll finish with Cultivate Land, which is a landscape firm here in Houston. So we have a nice mix of Texas representation in the house. Jackson and Ryan, come on up.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lyndon Garcia. I'm from Joshua Line Architects. I'm a senior associate with Joshua Line. I've been there for 18 years. And my lab is Sichuan Gong, Martha Alfaro, and God Alfaro. And so we thank Trinity Church and Partners for Sacred Places for inviting us to help contribute to what Trinity Church. With that said, you have a beautiful campus, gorgeous church, and so we look at assets of enhancing what you have right now. So what you're looking at here is what we call a master plan. Our envision, our overall project, completed project. So we looked at the assets we have, the courtyards being one of the most obvious positive assets that we have. So we are enhance that, and as well as improve the circulation and just going to enhance the overall aspects of accessing important aspects of the so this one is just an aerial overview of our master plan showing different courtyards. And so we are thinking of these as being phased projects. We know it's a big undertaking, so we are mindful of phasing it and mindful of your resources. So phase one, as you can see on the upper left-hand top corner, we are going to envision maybe relocating the loading dock that you have right now and bringing it closer to the kitchen so that you don't have to traverse the fellowship hall, bringing it into the kitchen. We are envisioning opening this up and creating a new pavilion, and we'll talk more about that in detail, and create a connection with the fellowship hall and enhance what you have right now. Phase two, the project would involve, you look at the lower right-hand corner, re-envisioning the existing building that you have, partial renovation, but also creating a better access to the existing courtyard that you have right now. Right now it's not really accessible, so we want to make that an accessible place for public gathering, or if you have a tournament, that could be a place for gathering as well. And phase three, we are envisioning a possible community hall or even a daycare, if that's in your radar. So phase one, we're going to look at, so phase one, right now, you've got this beautiful fellowship hall. But that could be even enhanced by just opening this up, maybe creating an outdoor space, a pavilion. So that's what we're proposing here is a pavilion. Again, moving the loading dock to the left-hand side or to the west. And we're creating an opportunity for just an outdoor venue. And again, this is just an image of what it could look like. Just an open space, an expanded space, and then bringing that natural light that you guys have on campus. Because this is just an example of a terrace, for example, as look on the left-hand side, just next to trees, could be some trellises. This is just an example of the frosting on the rice. And phase 2, I think Patricia would want to take this one.
Phase 2, when we were touring the facility, we were really amazed by all the courtyards existing, but we find that the access to the courtyard sometimes were not super direct, and it's hard to identify where you are in the courtyard in terms of the whole site. We are also really admiring the sanctuary, the National Historic Building Sanctuary. We decided to celebrate the heritage of the sanctuary by expanding the courtyard next to the chapel. We are able to take this currently smaller landscape, make it bigger, make it more intentionally private for the people after their service or certain events. Also, we decided to open up currently where the Smith Hall is. So when people come into here, it becomes the center, it becomes the indoor reception area that also connects back to the little parking yard behind the sanctuary. With this, the courtyard continued the acts of the sanctuary that continued the heritage of the historic background. Also, we put a back wall in the end of the backyard to continue with the fence that not only become the dynamic of the fence, but also we have the opportunity to put the church name and then put the historic symbols and everything to that. So overall, this is what we think about how we take the heritage of the church to celebrate in the exterior and interior gallery space. Next, because we open up several spaces to the interior, we would like to also looking at the program to reorientate current program. Martha is going to talk about what we come up with.
Keeping with the welcoming community, we want to welcome and make the place open. So for that, because we are cutting through some spaces, we want to make sure we give them back. Not take them away completely. And so as you can see, you see the direct access from the columbarium now to the garden. We have cut into this building, but we're saying it's not going away, we're simply shifting it up. So all the spaces that you see shaded are areas that would be touched, that would be renovated, that would be either put back new and reimagined in a different way than they are now. So we see the Smith room is still there, it might be a little bit smaller, but know that you get a lot of community space in that room, and it's still important. We want to keep it close to the rector's office. Since we saw that nursery was a big room and it's off the garden, we saw this as potentially being so much nicer if this was your large Sunday school class for more children. Babies and toddlers would get moved back in smaller rooms. That way they are easily accessible, but at the same time, not taking up that corner. And that's first floor. Second floor, we took a good tour yesterday, went into every single room, and you have a lot of space. As Linda mentioned earlier, there's so much natural light coming in. So these are great spaces. They're maybe not getting utilized to their full potential right now. So there were a lot of small offices. We envisioned opening up the small offices, making these flex rooms, larger flex rooms. So we see that the large room that you use that mainly for camps, there's a lot of activities that are done there. So in order to support that, we have more children or activities. We see the potential of using larger flex rooms as getting a lot more involvement, whether it's vocational classes, maybe sometimes computer classes for seniors, or maybe teaching a different language. I mean, there's a big opportunity for you once you create the spaces for them, not have just office space. To the finance office that was on the first floor, and that's the second floor, so it's not very public. And just created a couple more pockets of storage, which everybody needs.
Nice, Martha. So phase 3, again, this is a a big undertaking that we know is going to be a big project, but something that what could be. So, possible daycare to be a source of income. By creating this daycare, we know that security is very important. So we created a required playground in between the buildings. That way they are protected and feel very safe in campus. Again, creating a drop-off zone, a new drop-off zone just dedicated for possible daycare or a community hall, an outreach community center. So this is just images of River Oaks Baptist Church, LaSalle, possible uses of what could be above or rooftop of the community center or terraces to provide some sort of greenery space. And some other folks here, other architects have proposed community gardens. Open to interpretation. And I think that's all we have. So that's really just enhancing what you have, your assets, and further your mission.
Or any major questions about the presentation? The glass wall. I think I saw it go back. Access to the outside. Any questions that they can address, or you want to follow up?
You want to know these different locations that you have here?
This is LaSalle by the museum district. The one on the left-hand side is our project at River Oaks Baptist Business. So Winter Terraces, this is actually a middle school. We created a tiered plaza for the classrooms. Right now, the building house is right here. And again, this is just a possibility, and if you don't go building around, other architectural firms here have proposed landscape areas to readable.
Are you making this accessible, a lot of this, are you making it accessible to the public or to certain classes?
Possibly, it's the phase one definitely. Yes, a little bit more easier access, not only for the congregants, but also just the public itself. Easily have public gatherings.
Okay, so I understand the reconstruction and all that. Do you have anything?
I'll step in. That was not a brief for me. It was really just to imagine what was being in different places there. But it has not been forgotten.
I'll just make the first part.
But the community center could be outreach center. Yeah.
We have to move on, so thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to let them introduce themselves. This is from Clark Condon, the presentation from Grace and Charlotte.
My name is Grace Trinity, and this is my coworker, Charlie Stewart, and we are from Clark Condon, and we are landscape architects. And we are based in Houston, and our office is not that far away from this neighborhood. Thank you so much for having us. And we've been so excited to work with Trinity and partners for Sacred Business. liberty, art, faith, safety, music, and heritage. So those things kind of molded our ultimate goal, which was how can we use our landscape design to promote connectivity and multi-generational landscape design, and so that was our main goal. We have 2 slides for precedent images. We wanted to highlight some of these because either they inspired us through our design process or they're for design intent. So a couple of things I want you guys to carry through the presentation are the use of materials and how we can really change the landscape outside and bring more life into the facility, being like how we can use concrete versus pavers and how that interacts with turf, planting, trees. And another thing that we really wanted to emphasize was how we can introduce art into the campus and how that goes back to our 6 components that led to our goal, which is that brings heritage, it gives the church the opportunity to work with local artists and give back to the community, and overall it gives the community something beautiful and meaningful in their space. This is another slide of precedent images. This I really want you guys to understand how things can be dual purpose. So just like the mounting in these pictures can help with grading of the site to tension, but also gives people the opportunity to play. And then also how art installations can turn into environmental aspects, being insect hotels, because you guys have already started like having bees on the property. It's a great opportunity, and it also creates more interest to the campus. So we have 3 total plans that we're going to show you. I think it's really important to show the process of how we got to our final plan. So we started going on the tour around the site, and then Charlie and I worked together to put together some programming for the site. So we really wanted to introduce art into the space. So we have a couple of places right here where we do this is an intimate place where art can be. But then over here, one of our aspects is how to preserve the Bearing House and turn that into a place where adults and children can both enjoy. And then this is our next plan, our progression plan, and this is where we really start to try to make it all work together and flow. One thing that we noticed when we were on our site tour was how the site is really disconnected. And so we really tried hard to figure out how to connect everything together and create a cohesive design for y'all.
Okay, and now I'm going to give you guys sort of a walkthrough of what it would feel like to be in this space. And we're going to start. Where's it going to be? This one? Okay. So we're going to start down here in the southern corner. So we're reimagining. So this, just to give you guys an idea of where we are. This is you guys' chapel. And when you come out, you have that sort of stained glass wall. You have the courtyard. So just imagine if we were to open that up. Something that we really liked about that garden is the use of the brick materials that you guys had on the ground here, but we felt like it was too tucked away. But we also wanted to keep that intimate setting for it. So, a play on the Holy Trinity idea, we were thinking, what if we had 3 entry plazas? One that sort of started off as this larger entry moment that allowed people to come in and out. When we talked a little bit about Sunday morning breakfast and how you guys hand out sandwiches. So what if this became an area where people could come and circle around and, grab some sandwiches or grab some food? We also kind of come back into this corner and we're using art on the ground to sort of just show where you are, give a sense of art and culture in the space. And then we also keep that sort of back pass that you have a old fountain back there. And we say we're going to reuse some of that existing material. It may not be a fountain itself, but it could be a planter or something of the sort. And then we also provide some additional seating back here so that you can really enjoy this wall as you come out of the chapel. Something that I also thought was really exciting about this space is that it gives an opportunity for security. If you decided, hey, I wanted this area to be closed off and we only want the public to sort of be in this entry point, you could do that. Or you can open up the area to the public and allow them to see the rest of the gardens. So sort of as you move from this space up into the back or northern side of the site, we're thinking about a sculpture garden in ways that you can sort of meander out of this intimate space and into a more active space. This provides an area of respite, it provides an area of reflection. We know we have different ages that we're appealing to, so we want to make sure that we have some places where you can sit in the garden and you can relax, rest your feet. As you swing around sort of this corner of the church, you get sort of these larger art moments. We have a art/play sculpture here that is sitting in a decomposed granite court, which is sort of just Bible, if you don't know what that is. Swinging around, you sort of get this huge pavilion, so you guys are like, what is this massive building? So I know you guys know about the Marion House outside, we're talking about getting rid of it. And we as landscape architects try to find ways to keep that existing material. What if we could keep the foundation of the building? If we could keep the foundation of the building, can it become a stage? Can it become a porch? Can it become something that can be reused by the community and allows history to still stay on the site? So that's sort of what we were thinking as we were thinking about the Marion House. I'm sure you guys have seen it. In the front, there's beautiful steps, there's beautiful columns. Those things we really want to keep and you'll get to see in our perspective. We also have this pavilion, shaded pavilion, this covered porch, just so that people are having shade in the back. We talk a lot about people not having shade in the garden. Sort of coming towards this left side, we see a central plaza that kind of sort of acts as a gathering/entry space as you're entering from here. This is sort of back of house area that we would advise some architectural screening back there, but it's a little out of our zone of touch, but some architectural screening would be amazing there. It sort of frames the view of the porch that you guys would have, plaza space for seating, different events. You have an event lawn, things like that. Perfect for jazz, perfect for if there is Sunday school or rehearsal. And there's both sides of the porch, so you can use maybe the back side as a classroom, whereas the front may be for an event like a jazz festival. Sort of swinging over here, we have a more flexible lawn space, not necessarily for events, but maybe the kids' playroom or kids' worship area. People can come down and they can play in the lawn. This lawn is also backed by decomposed granite court, so people can sit and relax and maybe watch the stage. And then you also have some buffering moments that are happening here that allow for ambient sound to be reduced because their traffic is a lot in you guys' area, midtown area. We also have the bees. So we kept thinking, where are we going to put the bees? We can't get rid of the bees. Let's sit them on top of the buffer. This allows them to still be accessed, not only from the service group here, but for educational purposes. And keep them in view because we don't want them to be left out of stuff. I hope everybody knows that. But anyway, okay, we also moved this service area, similar to what the last group did. We moved it sort of to the back of house area, so we're closer to the kitchen. We then allow room for some storage, whether it's a storage unit or I know you guys have a red cart back there. When you're serving food or things are moving around, you have a back of house storage unit here. So, sorry, that was like a mouthful of everything, and I'm hoping that the perspectives coming up next will give you sort of an idea of what that feels like to be in that space. So, 1 minute. So we are looking now from the closet area, sort of coming out from the church. What was that pavilion going to look like? Here's the foundation here. It is sitting at the bottom. We have some steps that we're adding. We have some recycled material that we can reuse as planters, some palms we can reuse. It still feels like a space that is meant to be at a church when it's scenic and it's beautiful and it's purposeful. So that's that space. And then for the final sort of slide we have here is what could that Marion House porch look like? So could you have your jazz band here and rehearsals here? Could you have some art pieces in the back that allow people to function and work together and play together? And then just sort of what could that outdoor classroom space look like? So lots and lots and lots of ideas. That's our conclusion. We want to say thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions, feel free to email, contact us, if anything, or also let me know. this down here, the main entry, the three, or?
No, just what are
Oh, what are the three entrances? Did I say?
Can you maybe the Trinity?
Oh, that's what, okay, so it was more of a play on words, sorry about that. It was more a play on words. So right now, you guys have like a nice plaza out there, and it's sort of, curved in its shape. We thought, can we give a little bit more purpose to it? Can we say, okay, Holy Trinity, we have an idea that we are showing the memorial sort of stained glass moment here, which is a moment. Then we have a secondary moment, which has the shield, which is the art sculpture. And then we have a tertiary moment that is here, which is that entry moment that has a planter. It was more just like a play on words. It was like a
Final comment or question? Thank you very much. Okay. So I'm going to invite Caleb from Coral. And FPC, are you coming immediately after, or does it combine? It's a one-man show, again, and then we'll...
Figuring this out on the fly here, so... My business partner ditched me, I'm here by myself. He was working from San Antonio. He's got 3 daughters that keep him busy with soccer, so... He last minute had to stay home, but still put a lot of time in here. So I'm Caleb Etheridge from Coral Studio. We are a landscape architecture firm in San Antonio, and really excited to be here. We've worked a lot around the state, specifically with FPC on Episcopal churches and schools, and religious facilities all over the state as well. And really excited about the opportunity y'all have here. I've got a lot of images just to go through the beginning of some of our previous projects, and I think that some of them could fit really well with the energy you guys are looking to bring, and so excited to show this. So these first couple are, this is actually TMI Episcopal in San Antonio, which is a really prominent school. It's run by the Episcopal TMI there, and we worked on this project with, and the whole master plan for this campus with FBC turned out really nice. And one thing you'll see prominently is amphitheaters for some reason on this project, but and so this is a really great space for the students. This is another project in Waco, St. Paul's, and we're just finished up this master plan, so maybe I'll take a picture of that. But it's a really cool project, really great campus there. The creek going through, we're doing like this bridge deck. It's really going to connect the spaces and activate. Yes, it is. And this is kind of a section through there, like connecting this two spaces across this 100-year floodplain. And so we have some similar ideas here. Obviously, you don't have a floodplain going through, but drainage issues in Houston. This is Hillside Fellowship in San Antonio, really great campus that we did a master plan and redesign for. And a lot of the thought here, and what I'd like to kind of pitch to you guys, and I kind of talked about a little bit yesterday, is this idea of providing spaces for children and families. And I think that's one thing that we have hopefully brought to a lot of these projects, and I think you guys have a really great opportunity for that, to grow the next generation. This is Concordia Lutheran in San Antonio, a day school and church. This is all asphalt fireland, actually, if you can believe it. I wish I had a before picture of that. And they really wanted a welcoming entry. This is a little amphitheater there, for Christmas. This project, I want to spend a little time about this project, Karis Park, which was, it's a private park in San Antonio funded by Sunset Ridge Church of Christ in donations. But it was a 1-acre parking lot, and they decided they were kind of a dying congregation, and they decided to take a chance, and instead of selling this, they built a park. And that's what it looks like now. And that was it's been like a huge blessing for our company to work on this project. Not just from, it's like a dream project, but also it's really activated the community. And so I'm just going to go through these pictures real quick, but we were fortunate to win an ASLA, a Landscape Architecture Award last year for design, and also for sustainability. We reused all the asphalt on site to create berms, use all the concrete curves, do a lot of sustainable stuff. But the biggest thing that I heard from y'all's congregation, and I was really excited, even from when I first talked to Kevin, was about this idea of the farmers market and really activating the space for kids and families. And so what we have at Harris Park, this is like this nature art, that's what we call it. Kids immediately go play on it. They're contemplative spaces. These are all reused concrete curves. This space is what I'll talk about too. You'll see this later in the designs, but just this idea of creating a problem and turning it into a really fun space for kids. Just a bunch of fun energy spaces for movie nights. And here's the farmers market. So every Saturday, tomorrow morning, I'll be there buying some steaks and some veggies. But it's a completely regenerative ag farmers market too, so it's all sustainable agriculture. And it really took a champion, is the one thing to note, but it's been super successful for the community. And just part of this activation has really enlivened the church, and they've actually grown their membership. It's kind of unbelievable, actually, the percentages that they've grown their membership. They have cultural events, yoga in the park every Saturday morning, and a big thing, this is awesome, this is story time for kids. And it's huge. It's so awesome. This lady, Miss Anastasia, comes and tells stories for the kids, and it's just learning how to ride a bike and pedal bikes. So that's the story of Harris Park, and I just wanted to show you all those images and the excitement that I hope you saw in that community. That it was a parking lot before that, so it was not there, right? And it is there now, and I think y'all have that opportunity. So this is the first concept. So this is showing the idea, similar to some of the other concepts of removing that barren house for open space, shifting the loading dock over here to the far side by the kitchen, so you really open up this connected space now. And then the big idea here too, similar to what you saw in the first architects, but we're punching through these doors right here, relocating your storage. That was a big discussion item yesterday. Making sure we have storage for the table, so we kind of figured that out to relocate it right here on the other side. And then now all of a sudden you can connect directly outdoors to this awesome dual-sided amphitheater. So imagine this right here, this little covered pavilion, and to the left of that lawn, to the right is this little amphitheater. So that's this space right here. And one cool thing, I think the last week Club Con had a cool idea to reuse some of the blocks in place. We were showing all these black lines right here, these low amphitheater walls, and how cool would it be to still reuse those bearing house limestone blocks, but maybe they're just seat walls now. And then this guy right here, that's that drainage channel I showed that picture earlier at the Harris Park project. Right now it's kind of an eyesore right where the drainage is, but imagine that as just like boulders and a bioswale, and the kids just kind of running up and down that. It would be amazing. This deck connects you directly into this large playscape. It's designed for 2 to 5-year-olds, 5 to 12. You got an in-ground slide, nature play, a berm hill for climbing and rolling. And then some of the big idea here is just create this huge berm, which is just a large hill with some of the grade on site. And then now all of a sudden you have this wall that could be, a branding opportunity that's also creating screening. And so these are just some of those sketches. Here's that branding opportunity, that wall. So you can see it provides privacy, but then also provides some fun elevation change. This is just that bridge over this nature bioswale. And then this is this fun little TP nature play thing we do a lot, and it's really interactive with kids that really love to use that. Here's some more imagery. I saw the first architecture group. It's good to put the robots to work these days as designers, and so we did that just a little bit. Here, imagine that huge wall out here. This is like awesome bright mural that everybody sees as they come down Main. Second plan right here is a little more formal, but a lot of the same program. And so you can see we kind of have the same area as open space, but instead of providing the buffer, this one is maybe thinking about the spaces a little more like community focused or facing. So the first one you could say that you had a little more inward focus and privacy. This one kind of opens that up with this circular wall. And then this thing, similar to Paris Park, they have this nice promenade. So if you say that farmer's market becomes a reality, how cool would it be to have people having that farmer's market right here off the wall in the middle of the campus? Similar things like this play hill right here for nature play, activating kids' games and stuff, a small community garden with potentially a rain system to collect some of the rain off the roof. And then similar to the first concept, we have this kind of dual-use pavilion right here. That's what this white block is that fits here. And then maybe get a little urban on the backside over here too. So you can still see in, but if you're in that amphitheater, it gives you a little bit of a sound barrier. Thank you. I was waiting for that. Yeah, I think another big thing that the other groups have talked about and we addressed here as well is just this connectivity through the site, right? I actually had to set like a pin in the door to make sure it didn't get locked out yesterday. Because if you go outside today, you can't get back inside the door. And you have to climb the gate. Just so you know that. So this plan, you can see it's similar to the previous plans you've seen. You can have this connectivity all the way through campus, still secure from the outside. But I think that gives you a lot more value from a program use. Last page is just some more imagery. This idea of this kind of rock climbing wall, maybe put some art on the cistern. Lots of potential for art sculptures, like as people come through and see the space. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed that.
We cannot hear you. Okay. I do have a soft voice. I need to hold it close. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. All right. So we really enjoyed spending time at your campus and just getting to know you. And so I appreciate all the time that you spent with us. One of the things that we really wanted to look at were some of the key words that really came out more than anything, which was that you wanted to have a welcoming yet safe community that's very flexible so that the spaces could shift very easily from one function to the next. We also know that the church family is extremely important. I think all of y'all are family here, and community outreach as well as children's ministry. And we actually started with really looking at children as the starting point, simply because that's as Caleb was talking about, that's where the growth is going to happen. When you've got a good, strong children's ministry, your church will grow. And so we were inspired by so many of the photos. I really love how you do that and put these photos around. It really gave us a good feel for all the things that you do. And so in our site plan, we started trying to figure out different access points. We noticed that there is a lot of space already in your church available, and a lot of the churches that we work with, these churches, we actually try to utilize what we have. I understand that it's very difficult for long-term maintenance and so forth, so you want to minimize as much construction as possible, use what you have, and try to maximize that so that we can open up the outdoor areas for other activities and make it flexible. So we have, let's see, how do I get the pointer to work?
There it is. I'm just not. So we're using the other entrances, but we've also opened up the back of that fellowship hall, and then we'll use this storage room that's on the corner as another vestibule. And then we're going to also use this access here. So bringing people in to the campus here, this becomes a children's wing. We'll talk about that a little bit more, so that we've got a secure entrance just for the children for drop off and for secure drop off there. And so this plan is really about trying to look at some of the programs that you have and trying to think about how we can shift things around. We kept a lot of the admin areas you enter very much the same. I understand how churches function. It's really important that you have meeting spaces when you come in. It's important that your office is near the entrance, because people probably like to come and speak to you. Of course, you've got the security entrance in here. So we kept that, but over here, we decided to take these rooms and really use them for the children's ministry. It's wonderful that you've got restrooms there that really help that out very well. So this provides a really nice access to connect these two spaces together. And then I'm going to let Nathan talk a little bit more about some of these sketches on his plan.
Thanks, Laura. As Laura mentioned, I'm Nathan Pettis, Physical Director for person. One of the big points that we noticed we wanted to focus on was connecting. You heard that a lot from the architects. Landscape. Sorry. Louder? Better? Yes. The point I was making was, one point we wanted to make was connection. That was initially saw as we walk through all the spaces. You have wonderful cultural resources here. You really do. And that's what a lot of places lack. You have that in space right now. What you lack is connectivity. So what we really want to do, as Laura mentioned, creating this children's wing that was specific, for direct access for that wing from the outside and the main entrance and to the landscape.
On the second floor, it's kind of hard to see this. I thought the colors were shown up here. So again, children's wing, but these areas are flex spaces, so it's convenient. You've got the staircase here for those that are able to use the stairs. So when your when you've got the children's camps and so forth, if you need to expand, it's very quick and easy to use these spaces up here. Of course, this is still remains a flexible area, so there's not a whole lot of changes up here, but it was great to see these opportunities where you've got these offices in here and the kitchen and lots of storage. So storage is really important, so we want to make sure to maintain that, because I saw that you've got the bar rooms and all that, and they're really well located next to the restrooms, so that's really great. It's smart. It's kind of hard to want to change that, but it's smart. So it's really just emphasizing how you already are using some of these rooms as flex space and just maintaining that.
Okay, so we talked a little bit earlier about opening up this wall right here to create some more connection from this wonderful fellowship hall into the landscape. We worked really closely with Caleb, as we do on lots of projects, and do the same here. So a lot of these images you'll see here directly correlate with his landscape work in this project. So we opened up this wall. So what you're seeing here in this elevation, essentially that exterior elevation looking in this direction. What we wanted to do was, on this top layer, create an opportunity for more stained glass, similar to what you have, the beautiful stained glass you have in your chapel. So it's an opportunity for art and storytelling, as well as also a visual connection to the outdoors. And we also added this light steel, steel trellis on the outside, another opportunity for the landscape, lawn, and the greenery. Another element we have that's kind of a alternate to Caleb's plan is to create this, what we're calling a performance, shade performance pavilion on the northern corner of the large lawn that we vacated by the removal of So the rear column is going to emerge out of this berm and it creates this beautiful backdrop to this performance pavilion. So in this scenario, in this area, let me see this. The light working. Oh, there it is. Okay. So in this central area where Caleb has a lot of program. In this scenario, we leave this area, we'll leave that area kind of open in the middle in order to have space for people to view performances, concerts, really all kinds of different uses. You know, you can set up chairs for viewing. Families can go lay out picnic blankets and watch a performance. You have lots of possibilities. And then day to day, you're not having special events. It just acts as a wonderful shaded space to enjoy the outdoors. This is I did a cross section through it. Once I start drawing something, I start detailing the heck out of it. It's just the way my brain works. So I wanted to show how this would engage and emerge out of this bird naturally. And then again, got a bit more detail. You can see how the rear columns emerge and how it engages with the perimeter wall. So we're seeing the perimeter wall, which was one comment that came up a lot was security. You know, wanting to create a secure perimeter without it feeling like prison walls, right? Something welcoming, but also providing a sense of safety for all prisoners, for all visitors. Right? So our thought was using the limestone, which you already have historically here on campus, creating these walls that eventually offset back and forth and create planters on either side of the wall. So yes, we have this mass wall that has some heft and some thickness and security to it, but in addition of the planters and the greenery, we soften it visually and make it more friendly. So this is a little snapshot of one section of the wall, to give you a sense of scale. So on this side, as it alternates, this will be on the inside wall, you'll see the planter on this side, and as it alternates, that planter is on the opposite side, facing the public. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's a completely solid roof structure. No, we're proposing it, so I can back up. Just to give you a sense of it. I'll run through. Yes. So what we're proposing is a wood structure, laminated wood structure with a solid roof. That way, you know, we're not concerned about the elements. Am I blocking the room? Sorry. Essentially, it's pretty solid. Now, we thought about like where we have these offsets. If there are opportunities for view, we could leave one element out and create a kind of slatted wall that allows for some visibility through it. So you have lots of flexibility with this type of system. It's going to vary. On this moving corner, it's taller, it's probably closer to 8 feet, and then it can drop down as needed. So you might want it to be a little bit lower in certain areas. So you have that flexibility. Yes, ma'am. That's actually our intent. Yes.
Right. Can y'all just emphasize that again, since that was so central to the thinking here? About the combination of their perimeters and security in place.
Yes. So essentially, think about this wall being the perimeter on Caleb's landscape plan that you saw the plan right.
So if I leave it on the outside, there's 4 to 5 foot on the inside.
Yeah, I was checking here, but I was thinking, how tall is this thing that has no?
This pavilion, It's about
The tallest city in what how tall is that?
it's about 16 feet, you know, give or take.
How would you get access to it?
It's off the it's in the it's essentially in the corner. I'm trying to advance it. Yeah, that side. Just the overall where it shows it. There it is. Okay, so essentially, there's no real connection, like say from this main space right now to what we're kind of calling the Great Lawn, where the historic house is currently. So what we're proposing is softening that northern corner and curving it, and then pushing that performance pavilion against that corner. So creating like an anchor right there on it. And then allowing lots of open space for viewing. If that makes sense. So the access, you can have direct access. So we're opening up this wall here and also creating a vestibule here, a storage space. So we can directly out. You see this arrow right there. We can come directly out from this space into that great lawn right here. So that makes great use of this space because you have large events that spill out into the landscape. So you have some sort of reception here and outdoor time, like immediately after, everybody can spill out and enjoy the outdoors.
I'm starting to look at accessibility
Yes, ma'am.
and issues for our older population and community therapists has. So I'm getting a little bit concerned about talking about a lot of downtown the way we use more. Does that incorporate an extra elevator that is used to back the building? Do you have anything about enlarging some of the bathrooms or more space?
I think that in this kind of process, we were kind of looking at the project at a high level. Like, we really get down to those kinds of details. It's usually further into the process where we develop it. But those are genuine concerns that we do address.
And natural arts, you will have ramps and
Absolutely. Legally, we have to. Yes, yes. Yes. Yes, absolutely. And that's the idea. We want to maximize your flexibility.
One more comment or question and move on. Try to think about what Caleb was proposing too, since that was a little earlier. So far.
I think we can go quick stories about that, about the rock at Karis Park. I was out there. It's really weird, right next to the speaker. One day I was out there, and it's just a bunch of rock rappers, and one kid was collecting all like the crystal ones and trying to sell them. And it was just like hilarious, just the way kids, will just make up anything with natural. So when you give them this natural environment, and they can be exposed to nature in the middle of the city, it's amazing the creativity that kids have, right? It was really, like, I was videoing it, it was hilarious. It was like trying to sell my kids rocks. Real rocks, but
Okay, well, we have to move on. I think you really proposed a lot of small strategic moves. So that's what I really appreciate your presence. So thanks.
We are Cultivate Land, we're a boutique Houston.
As loud as you can.
All right, restart. Can y'all hear me well? All right, I got the right distance and the right volume. We are Cultivate Land. We're a small boutique landscape architecture practice here in Houston, Texas. We specialize in creating and shaping healthy communities through placemaking and creative design. We've been really excited in the last day or so to hear everyone's feedback, to get a site tour, and really synthesize all those ideas. And hopefully, this presentation speaks to you and holistically. I do want to introduce myself. I'm Jake Saltzman. I was the founder. I founded Cultivate Land about 5 years ago. This is my colleague, Austin Mahar. He was here the last few days working with us, and then we had our other employees, Steve, he helped us a little bit here today, this morning, putting everything together. So I'm really appreciative of those guys helping out there today. So we started out yesterday really doing the site tour and really hearing everyone's thought on what Trinity is. And it was very apparent that y'all are planting a community. We welcome everybody. We're inclusive, offering and giving so much here already. But it was very obvious pulling up at first, there was a tension. There's a complexity to it, complexity and compassion to it. There's issues with safety. But ultimately, we see the opportunity. The land, the space, the green space to the north, it's not leftover land. It's an opportunity to create something more that serves this church and the greater community. And I really liked your phrase yesterday, Kevin. It's a kernel to build upon. So that was kind of the foundation of what we're looking at here today. So we looked through this framework through three things. Strong communities need places to learn, to gather, and to restore. And that is the Trinity that we're going to speak about today. Once you overlap those three concepts together, what we end up with is an enriched community that affects people beyond this church. This is just a quick diagram to show the overlay of how that all works. So the Trinity would be education. So having a place for people to learn, whether it's getting outside, learning about faith, events. We heard a lot about food, music, camps, kids, etc., and escape. And to me, escape is a place of maybe quietness, prayer, meditation, respite. But together, this is the framework that we went through. And again, just the ultimate goal here is creating a great community. If you take that framework and look at the site, starting on the top left, we saw that area as education. So if you look through here, we learned about all the events that happen here in the monastery and through the fellowship hall, and there's no doors on both sides of this building, right? So it's like, how do we get access to it? So the big move here is getting access to the big square. We have the big green space. We heard about all these events. This is the most opportune place to have those events because it's large, it's very efficient, etc. And then lastly, the escape. So we have a chapel on the south. It's a very quiet space. Looking at that to not only reflect, but it also has the opportunity to host events and generate revenue for the church. These are just a few quick supporting images. We've got a lot to show of that are site specific here. But the idea is that education allows to teach about stewardship, allows potentially in some of the programming we have your hands dirty, to touch on. Not all education happens in the classroom, it happens outside, it happens with family members, etc., community. Events, a place to celebrate, to feed people. We heard about putting together sandwiches in the community. Music. The word that we heard yesterday was joy. We want to bring joy to the community. So this events do that, allows people to connect on a social level. And then the escape. Being able to be still, breathe. But this also requires space. This allows for people to time. But these are some of those images that capture that. This is the overall site plan that captures all of those ideas. This is everything that we talked about. The main thing I want to focus on here is I'm going to walk you through a lot of images after this. But thinking about security, I think security is hopefully a short-term thing, and the goal is to ultimately not have a fence long-term, at least not in the whole site, but in the near term. Creating a confined campus. So, high level, Education Northwest, we have a little community garden space that's adjacent to the kitchen that allows people to make food space that I could see like the fence going away altogether, one turn, and then maybe there's a small fence on the playground or that courtyard just north of here is maybe a little bit more private to the church. Then lastly, or the rest of it area to the south. So let's, who's excited to go walk through the site a little bit? Anybody? All right. So this is an aerial view looking from the northeast. On the front left, you know, I drove in yesterday and I wasn't sure where I was. So the first thing here was just thinking about how do we get signage on the corner? Who are we? Let it be known. How do we capture people's imagination? There's a lot to talk about art, so there's an opportunity there to really make art proud. It can be commissioned by someone here in the community. That big lawn is your playground. It's going to be whatever you want. It's the event that's going to be what enriches people's life. There's a little hint of what jazz fest can be when you bring it back, right? There's a small stage there. And then in back, you can start to see a little bit of the information opportunities. But let's zoom in and take a little closer look at what this looks like. We're going to start on the northwest corner where the community garden is. You know, playing off the Gothic architecture, staying true to that, is creating that entry portal into a small garden. This gives you like a little peekaboo moment, but it also does feel private at the same time. There would be another portal on the east side of the property by the event space as well. There's actually a gate there now. I think it's a really great location, but we kind of have this bookend approach with these prominent gateways to create a signature place. This is looking at the community garden, so it's not just a place to work, it's a place to learn, it's a place to talk, it's a place to connect. You start to learn, let's see the interactions between that green space. That green space is flexible, so it's got to be multi-use, multi-generational. It's something that everyone can enjoy and use. As we move to the east, this is something that we've all kind of talked about, is how to connect inside with outside. So what we're proposing is increasing on architecture that open this up, make it approachable, accessible, etc. And then this would be the house for all these day camps, right? We have kids, we have programming in here, we have programming outside. You can think of these little outdoor moments as like little stations, or like you get an hour in the garden or to play, etc. So once again, I think it's something that will benefit all ages. This is the old service drive. So I wanted to move the service drive, and I said, why not celebrate it? I mean, you're going to deliver it once, twice a week. How can we use it the rest of the week? So the idea is that we can maybe bring in some nicer tape. This is also a good staging area if you have events, pop-up events, whether it's food, art, crafts made in the community. And then you start to look at the shade opportunities if the kids are playing on the playground, get somewhere to sit. Beyond that, you start to see the amphitheater. So there's a big grade change right now where the Bearing House is. We want to keep that soil on site, regrade it, and use that as an amphitheater so it slopes down and creates this amazing experience when you have shows. When you're not having shows, you have a place to have outdoor classroom, meeting events with different organizations that are plugged together in the church. Yesterday we talked a little bit about, so a lot of the work we do, we integrate food systems into it, and one kind of low-hanging fruit we could do is at the edges and the buffers of these areas is bring in fruit trees, fruit and shrubs, etc. The idea is that edible things are within reach, like the fruit trees would be a plump flow of fruit that you can reach up and grab as you're walking by. And I know there's a lot of people in this community that could use a fresh orange or apple throughout the year. And this kind of shows what it might look like with some tent setup, etc. This is where Jazz Fest will be hosted. Some of the things talked about here are, once again, the people on soil on site. We have the food forest along. In the background, there's a small sculpture. That could be a rotating art piece or sculpture that can be commissioned from different artists. Choose your frequency every 3 months, every 6 months, every year. You just watch it, switch that out, just to get more people involved in the community. And then along this lawn, there can be these little pockets for sitting and watching. Kids are playing. If you're a little older, you might want to sit down and have some rest, relax, etc. And then these gravel areas also become places for tents when you have events. So you can imagine there's a little loop around, tagging with that space. Again, this is just the sign to say you've arrived, the monument or commission art piece, the stage in the background. Lastly, this is the rest of the area off the chapel. So is there an opportunity to have an outdoor space. I saw some of the ideas here as far as the nursery and things happen. This is a place where kids can kind of play and have events where they can feel safe and enclosed. So this project is Midtown's social heart and has the potential to grow. This is an investment not only in the physical building of this place, but more importantly, it's an investment in our children, artists, families, those seeking recovery, those seeking refuge. When Trinity thrives, the whole neighborhood will thrive. So, from So Trinity Planning Committee growing towards wholeness. This is an opportunity for that. It's a haven to a heartbeat. Appreciate your time today and thank you for listening to us. As part of the Charrette process, we want to explore not just having a hard blank fence, so we actually created 4 different prototypes of fencing where you go from transparency, partial transparency, full transparency. Fences also become opportunities for memorials, donor walls, art walls, etc. So if we're putting up a solid wall, how does it become something more? That's going to serve it all better. And then along the edges, like I said, there's so many people here in the community that, having access to a free tree and a difficult time, those are the things that go a long way. And those that care for those trees, that's going to enrich them through education.
Any reactions? Outdoor chapel.
Sorry, I had to go through that kind of quick around time. Idea multi-use, multi-generation, but a quiet place, sometimes just need that to figure it out.
Every one of these things, when they saw your chapel, they lit up. Huge asset, great space, something to build upon. Other comments?
It's all very exciting.
For taking it, thank you very much. Great job. So that's the Charrette. They did a great job. I just want to thank you all again for all of your effort, all of the teams for working collaboratively, for taking different parts of the campus and putting attention to it. I think we have great lots of ideas all over the property, including some ideas related to phasing. So it's not just all at once, it's in steps over a longer period of time. Partners for Sacred Places, thanks you as well. I'm going to hand the mic over to Reverend Matt to wrap us up. I just want to plug one more time. You do need your feedback. So do take a moment to write something down. Ideally fill that page, even the back of the page, your thoughts, and Caroline and I will transcribe it. So thank you all. Thank you very much.
So, yes, take a moment here to fill this out and give it to one of the 3 folks from Partners for Sacred Places. If you have more comments, you can email them to me and I'll forward them if something comes up later. I don't know, my heart is overflowing and bursting with like ideas, all of the presentation. I'm so grateful for. I also want to thank the Episcopal Diocese because they gave us the grant to partner with Partner for Sacred Places, and we just have so much to look at and so much to think about, and just one more round